All right, so let's get right into it. Today, we're going to deconstruct a really powerfully written article called The Edge of Oblivion, A World in Peril. Now, just to be clear, we're not here to debate it. Our whole goal is just to understand the argument it's making, piece by piece, using the author's own language.
Wow, okay. So right out of the gate, the author hits you with this incredibly high-stakes tone. I mean, this isn't just a casual warning, right? It's a full-on declaration of, immediate and unprecedented danger. The wording is clearly designed to grab you by the collar and make you feel that extreme urgency from the very first line.
All right, so let's dig into that opening claim a little deeper. What is the central problem here according to the article? How do they frame it?
And this is really the key point. The author is making a very specific distinction. They're basically saying, hey, this isn't just another conflict like we've seen before. No, they argue it's fundamentally different. And that word, catastrophe, that's not thrown in there by accident. It's chosen very deliberately to make you think we're at a point of no return.
And this is how they make that threat feel real. It's one thing to say catastrophe, right? It's kind of an abstract idea. But when the author puts a number on it, hundreds of millions, well, that's something else entirely. It's terrifyingly concrete. Suddenly, this isn't just some political problem. It's scaled up into what feels like a crisis for our entire species.
Okay, so the author has set the stage. They've established this massive, terrifying threat. And now the article takes a really sharp turn. It pivots from just describing the problem to pointing a finger. It's about to assign blame. And this right here? This is the absolute pivot point of the entire piece. The argument made is that all this instability we're seeing, it's not some big, complicated mess with a million different causes. Nope. The author claims it all comes from one single, specific source.
And there it is. The article lays it out, clear as day. It directly and unambiguously points to this as the root cause. You can see from the quote, this isn't a hint or a suggestion. It's presented as the central finding, really the foundation that the entire rest of the argument is built on.
So to back up that huge claim, the author rolls out a series of really powerful, very loaded phrases. If you look at these bullet points, you'll notice they're not just describing actions, are they? They're making moral judgments. The text calls these actions a gamble with world peace, a defiance of norms, even evil mischief. And it claims this directly led to forcing superpowers into this incredibly dangerous standoff.
Okay, so we've got the alleged cause. Now the article shifts to the effect. In other words, what would this war actually look like? And according to the author, it would be, well, completely different from anything we've ever experienced. And this comparison really drives that point home, doesn't it? The author draws this super clear, stark line in the sand between past wars and this potential future war. Think about it. Warfare isn't presented as something far away, soldiers on a battlefield. Instead, it's described as something total, inescapable, something that would reach into every home, every city, every single one of us.
When the author says the shadow of this war looms large, they're trying to create this feeling of a constant creeping threat. It's not like a storm on the horizon you can watch approach. It's more like a shadow that's already fallen over everything. The implication is that the danger is here, right now, and it's getting bigger, whether we're paying attention or not.
And that brings us to the end of the article. And its conclusion really works on two levels. It's a prediction of what's to come, and it's also a final, very urgent warning.
You can really see the author's whole argument laid out here, like a chain reaction. It all begins with the spark. That's a direct reference back to those provocations mentioned earlier. That spark then ignites a global inferno, which is their term for that all-encompassing modern war we just talked about. And where does it all end? Oblivion. A pretty chilling final stage where, according to the article, there's just nothing left to save. So this is where the warning turns into a call to action. Notice how the author puts the responsibility squarely on the international community. They're framing silence not as being neutral, but as actually being complicit. The message is clear. If we do nothing, the consequence will be direct and utterly catastrophic. And that's how the article ends. Not with a neat little answer, but with a big question. For you, for me, for everyone reading. After building this entire case, from that first spark all the way to total oblivion, it just leaves us with this. It leaves us to think about its claims and wrestle with this really unsettling final question. In a world that this article paints as being on the very edge, what is the real cost of silence?